Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 16th episode of Glen Tobacconist Live. We're really excited to be back from the trade show and finally get Alive back on the books. And I'm especially excited for this particular episode. This is a brand that I had on my radar for a while. I heard about, I'd say about 6 or 7 months ago. And then we were able to meet the blender, and we were able to try some of the cigars during the trade show, and we brought them in. So if you are joining on, thank you so much for being with us, and it is an honor to have you guys watching the interview. Please join in on the interview by letting us know down in the comments, what are you smoking tonight? If you're pairing it with something, what are you pairing it with? And we'd love to have any conversation that way. And if you have any questions for Tony or myself, we'd more than love to answer those questions. So drop them down in the comments. We will go ahead and pull them as they come forward. Tonight, though, we are very happy to announce that Stallone Cigars is here at Glen Tobacconist, and we first are releasing it in an amazing sampler pack. The sampler pack is incredibly priced, one of the best deals we ran, I think, even since opening the shop. So we have a 5-pack sampler of the Stallone lineup. Now, you'll notice these are all from the Cowboy series. Cowboy series are 6 different blends. There are 4 different blends in this one. The other 2 will be coming on Saturday. So we have the Habano, which is going to be probably the lightest. I use that word loosely with its sampler pack, but the lightest of the blends. And then you have the Corojo, which in my opinion is the pepper bomb. If you were a cigar that likes if you're someone who likes a cigar with a bit of spice, a bit of pepper, that Corojo is going to be your go-to. Then we have the San Andreas Maduro, which has more like dark cocoa espresso to it. And then the Negro Maduro, which is the Nicaraguan Maduro, one of my most favorite. And this one is more like a creamy chocolate, all of which have a bit of pepper up front. And then you start to notice the complexity as you smoke it down. So we've got Roy on. Hey, Roy, how's it going? Adam, I see you're on as well. Matt here. Yeah, well, Matt is here in the studio, so he can tell us what he's drinking and smoking. In fact, he is actually smoking a release that is coming from Stallone later in August. He was able to get a sample of that, so he's sampling that now in the broadcast studio. We got Mike on smoking Aromacraft Aquitaine. That cigar is dangerous. That cigar is one of those, especially that Mastodon 4.5 by 60. I have to refrain from smoking them all because I love them so much. And then we have Chip as well, smoking a Stallone broadleaf with a Dr. Pepper. Nice, non-alcoholic pairing there. And actually, Chip, after trying that broadleaf, the broadleaf and the Connecticut will be here on Saturday. So as it's going to work this evening, like I said, you can click on the link within this video to direct you to the sampler pack. You'll notice the price is pretty amazing, whether you're in California, out of state, either way, it's pretty awesome. But we have that sampler pack that is available, all 5, and then the actual brand release will be coming Saturday. So 11 o'clock Saturday morning, we're going to bring in all the lines, as well as Christine the rep. She'll be jumping here too, and we're going to be running a bunch of deals, a bunch of specials. If you're a fan of Stallone, it is the day to come by. So tonight, I went to the humidor, and I had smoked the Corojo earlier. Again, that's the pepper bomb, and I love that cigar. And it seems like when we had tried it in Nevada, the strength level was overwhelming. Like it was very, very strong. Up here with a higher altitude, it seems to be, in my opinion, a bit more complex and take you through different transitions, and you get different flavors as well. So tonight, I don't believe I've smoked this one since the trade show. This is the San Andreas. A thing I am also a fan of, not only is the strength profile and the flavor profile sort of in that sweet spot for me, but I'm also a fan of box press. So in the sampler pack that we have, all of these are the box press selections. The Connecticut and the broadleaf coming is actually Parejo, all in round. Has a sort of cedar sleeve. I'm going to go ahead and look here. Now, later on, Tony's going to be joining us on this live, and I'm very excited to ask him the evolution of this brand, how exactly it came about, what was kind of the vision for it, and also the historical elements of all the horses as well. So he's going to be joining us very shortly. I'm going to go ahead and get this lit and start smoking. Also, if you guys have had a Stallone cigar, drop it down in the comment. I would love to hear what your opinion was of it when you first had it. But in the meantime, as I light this up and as we kind of get the show going, a question for all those watching, because I've been asking questions more of our manufacturers recently, but I actually never really posed the question to the audience. And that is, if you have a not a desert island cigar, but if you have a desert island experience, like what is your optimum level for trying a cigar? What is the atmosphere like? What would you consider basically your optimum level of this is what I would like around me when I'm smoking, whether it's music, whether it's a particular place, people that you're with? Drop it down in the comment. I would love to know your opinion. For now, I'm actually going to put one of the people in the studio on the spot. Rob, if you would have a desert island experience for a cigar, what would you say is something to reach that optimum level?
In other words, a cigar that would want on the desert island?
Or like you have the cigar, but also what is the atmosphere like? What is the experience? Doesn't have to be on a desert island.
Very few palm trees, a hammock.
Okay.
A case, not a box, but a case of flying pigs.
Okay.
And a case of whiskey.
Nice. So we got a hammock is involved, a case of feral flying pig, which is the Liga Privada Select line. I mean, it's your own fault for choosing a rare cigar to try to get a hold of it, and a bit of whiskey as well. We got let's see here, Chip had the San Andreas, Maduro, and Broadleaf of their lines, and his name needs to be Tony Stallone. Well, that's true. We could even pose a question of how Stallone came about. But I think if you're going to actually say that, you have to actually add the accent, Tony Stallone, something like that to actually make it pop. Hey, Mike, that's cool. Mike dropped OGT, cigar environment. Well, I take that as a high compliment. We got Matt, a crisp mountain day and a tasty smoke. Nice. Claudia, do you have any?
Whiskey and cigars.
Whiskey and cigars. Whiskey and cigars. It's actually, I know it's kind of a trick question because it's a harder question for me to answer. I would say it has to involve some type of music. I'm really heavy on atmospheric music as well as weather. Probably like 86 degrees, 0 wind. Completely. 86 degrees, a bit of warmth to it. Awesome. So one of the things I really enjoy about the cigar, the entire brand, is that it's flavor right off the bat. This is not a warm-up cigar. This is not I'm going to let it kind of simmer, and once it gets into the second third, it's going to start finally warming up. This thing hits you right out the gate, and it's what I really enjoy about it. We got Eric saying he's driving home. I'm assuming that's what's happening. That's not your optimum level of smoking, but maybe it is. Maybe it is. Maybe you like the cigar on the way home. Curtis, thanks for joining us, Curtis. Not sure if you're going to be smoking because you don't know how long you'll be hanging out. Well, hopefully long enough to catch some of the show, but thank you for joining on. So the thing I also really enjoy about San Andreas Maduro is that chocolate note that you can get, and it's definitely a rich flavor right off the bat. And this is what's interesting because I've talked to several different reps. I've talked to different people in the industry, and Elevation really does manipulate and change this cigar. I didn't really understand this fully until opening a cigar shop at 4,800 feet as far as Elevation is concerned. And so when we lit this up, I mean, to be fair, it was the probably 6th, 7th cigar I had at the show, so that's a lot for me. That's a lot. And so naturally, when you have an already strong cigar and that's your number 6 or 7, it's going to probably appear stronger. But it was so strong that it was even hurting to retrohale. Then I come up here and it's a completely different experience. I would say its level of strength in Vegas was like 9, and there's like a 7.5. The strength is still to the point to where I really enjoy it, but it's far more complex to me. It's what I'm really enjoying. We got Brian saying a beach campsite with waves crashing while sitting next to a fire pit. That sounds pretty awesome.
San Simeon.
Yeah, San Simeon. There you go. I mean, I guess it's not really Joshua Tree. We don't have really campfire beach settings around us immediately. Almost forgot a blonde, brunette, or redhead bringing me whiskey and keeping my stogies coming. I see. Optimum level. This is what is happening. I like smoking at OGT. Well, awesome. Thank you, Eric. But yeah, now tonight the pairing that I'm actually going with is a go-to bourbon. I believe it's Old Forester, right? It's going very well. And for those also watching, we have the brand release Saturday, then the following Friday, and more info will be coming. But I am super excited about this cigar. One of perhaps the best cigar I've had of 2021, in my opinion, for the first time, will be offered as a tasting night next Friday at 6 o'clock. More info will be coming. You'll see that event happening. But I'm really, really excited about this cigar. So much, in fact, that it actually is going to take the #1 slot in tasting for the month. Normally we do an LCA release, and we will be getting all of LCA's things in. But I'm very excited for that tasting, and that will be coming very shortly. So eye out for that. If you can make it, great. And then for everyone in the OGT Society that is watching, we're going to be getting those cigars out next week. And so you'll be receiving your renewal email probably tomorrow at the latest. So I'm going to go ahead also, as I'm enjoying this San Andreas, I'm going to actually pull the room. Rob, what's your thoughts on the Maduro?
So far, it's phenomenal. The construction's great. The draw is great. The taste on the dry draw is right on point. It's got a white ash that I'm ecstatic about. And there's a lot of smoke.
Yeah, smoke production is huge. Yeah. Yeah, so Mike is wondering which one you're smoking. You're smoking the Maduro, right?
Yeah, the Negro.
Nicaragua Maduro. That was the one that really grabbed me. But the interesting thing is, this is the first time I've had the San Andreas in Toro size. I'm actually liking. I feel like it's more mature in the Toro size. I actually like the way it's well rounded. Curtis says he doesn't know if he has a specific best scenario for smoking cigars, but I think it would have to involve either a beautiful old room or great outdoor view. Very nice, very nice.
With Lefroy.
With some sort of whiskey. I'm sure, Curtis, you've got a whiskey up there as well that you perhaps even a very aged whiskey, something like that. But again, music is everything for me when it comes to creating an atmosphere. So, I mean, here at the shop, we do a lot of 20s, a lot of 30s. I really like big band swing music, but sometimes I find it a little disruptive when I'm trying to relax and smoke. So, with that, thank you for dropping down in the comments. That same question we'll be able to ask Tony as he's joining the show here. So, without further ado, please help me welcome Tony Barrios for the show. Hey, how's it going?
Hey, how are you? Welcome,
doing good.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining. I understand that you've had a busy day so far.
Yeah, sorry for being a little late. I was in an event here in Miami, and I finished a little bit late, but finally arrived.
No worries. So as we start, first I would like to thank you for joining us on our show. This is the 16th episode we've had, and you are the latest brand. Stallone is the latest brand we've brought into our show after meeting you in Vegas, and we're really excited to have you, your brand on our shelves. Great cigars.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me in the show, and thank you for having us on the shelves. You know, we're looking forward to support you guys all the way possible, always.
Thank you. So, what did you light up for this evening? What are you smoking for the show?
I'm smoking a Castaño San Andres.
Okay, yeah, I'm smoking the same thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, kind of to begin with this, as anyone that will see your brand, see the name Stallone, it is inseparable from the emblem of the horse. So, kind of where did that come from, and how did the brand of Stallone come to be? Like, what is the evolution of it?
Yeah. First of all, I'm third generation tobacco growers in my family. The one who started the tobacco business was my grandpa. He was from Italy. He planted tobacco for Toscano cigars in Italy.
Okay.
And then the second World War came and took it off. You know, everything, the ranch. So he went to the war because he was, the military service as well. And then he came. He after the war, he came to Venezuela, and then he started the tobacco business again in Venezuela. So,
Okay.
and then his passion was horses and cigars, and tobacco, as well as
Okay.
mine. So
Yeah.
when I was little, he gave me a stallion, a stallion horse that was very hard to tame. And as a young kid, I was 7-year-old. I was coming every weekend and asked my grandpa, "Hey, is my horse ready to ride?" And he said, "No, it's not ready. It will take some time." And every weekend the same story. Like a little kid, I didn't understand that horse would take like over 1 or 2 years to get, finally ready to ride and safe for
Yeah.
a child.
Okay.
And then when I was kind of pissing him off, he hit me in his leg and said, "Hey, Tony, I made a mistake. I gave you an Stallone." And I say, "My grandpa, because I didn't speak Italian, what Stallone means?" And he say, "Stallone is a stallion. It's a stud. They are hard to tame. They are, sometimes they're angry. So I should have give you a mare or a gelding. But someday I promise you, you'll be able to ride a lot of Stallones in your life. So that came into my mind, stuck in my mind always, and that's what I chose a name for the brand because
Okay.
my passion is tobacco and horses, and I ride cutting horses in Texas, mostly in Fort Worth area, and I've been able to have enough luck and success, on the competitions, winning some world tournaments, and that's why I decided to put my two passions together in this cigars.
Yeah. Okay. So when you say in Italy and tobacco growers, is there a particular type of tobacco that you guys were like growing a lot of, or was it kind of just a variety, or what kind of tobacco is prominent there?
Yeah, in Italy, there's a lot of burley in those days, but back
Okay.
then, back then in 1930s, in the early 19s,
Mm-hmm.
there was a different kind of variety of tobacco, like some of black tobacco, but different from the one we all know, like Criollo 98, Havana 2000, very
Right.
different from those tobaccos. But Italy now it grows only Burley. It's a kind of tobacco where we grow in Venezuela because I grow tobacco for BAT, for British American Tobacco,
Oh yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
for a cigarette industry. So we grow Berlin, Virginia variety over there, but I grow Criollo 98, Havana 2000, Corojo 99, and broadleaf as well in Venezuela. Uh, but then in 2014, I decided to make a step forward using Nicaraguan tobacco because it's my favorite. And I went to Nicaragua and started the company and started doing the blends. It took me 4 years to put together the blends of the Cowboy series that are
Mm-hmm.
already in the
Mm-hmm.
market. And finally, I launched in the U.S., but I started in South America and Europe first.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, when you say the Cowboy series, I mean, some companies when they're starting right out the gate or when they're getting the release going, they'll release like one or two blends. Did you release all
Yeah.
6 at the same time?
Yes, I did it, and it's something hard to do because instead instead of giving a sampler, one cigar sampler, you have to give 6.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the reason why I did that is because I know this is a very hard market here in the U.S. So I want to have the right cigar for everybody, for every palette. So I have more chances to get into a store. For example, if a store is a Connecticut store and I came with only a Maduro, they're gonna say no. Or if a
Yeah.
store is a Maduro store and I only come with Natural or Connecticut, they're gonna say no. So to get more chances and fluid the markets faster. That's why I developed all the 6 blends and release it at the one time. It's very hard to
Okay.
do, financially,
Mm-hmm.
but we have been, uh, pretty much success because we have something for everybody, all the way from medium
Right.
body
Right.
up to full body. And what a great surprise that I've been having the feedback, in most of the stores, all the blend sales,
Right.
obviously there's one 2 or 3 cigars that sell more than others, but all sales,
Mm-hmm.
almost evenly, and
Right. Right.
so that's a good thing that took me a lot of time to develop the blends because it's not just to put together the leaves and smoke it and say I like it and that's it. I have to put together the blends in Nicaragua. Then they taste good. Then I flew here to the United States and dry weather and in cold weather and they didn't taste. So then I went
Yeah.
back
Yeah.
and blended and then smoking in a hot and humid weather and see how the blend behaves and put it in aging, and see how it changes with the aging. So it's a complicated process that cannot be done overnight. So that's what it took me, that time, and that's why I released the 6 blends together because I have, plenty of faith on my product and for the American market.
Definitely, definitely. Well, we have Smoky Affair that just joined on. Hi, Christine, and she of course is our rep out here in California. And I kind of mentioned this at the beginning, but the brand Stallone had been on my radar for a while, but I didn't know exactly how to get a hold of it or too much education on it. And then Christine kind of introduced me to it. And it's phenomenal. I mean, my palate is more in like the medium plus the full bodied side. So it's kind of definitely in my wheelhouse area. But there's something I find really interesting about your 6 blends. You release these 6, but it's very rare to see 3 different Maduros within a release like that. This is maybe just a stab in the dark, but I'm assuming that you are a Maduro smoker yourself.
Yeah, I love the Maduros, and when I blended, I didn't see them as a Maduro. I see them by wrapper because the American market, the American smoker, they search for the wrapper that they like. For example, a smoker of San Andres is always going to look for a San Andres. They care more about the type of wrapper than if it's Maduro or maybe Natural. But I chose San Andres Maduro because I like more Maduros than Natural myself, and because I could have chosen a Natural San Andres for this blend, but it didn't have the flavor profile that I wanted for the cigar. So that's what I chose. This is high priming, for the top of the plant leaves. That is a little bit more like a little bit more stronger, but a little bit more sweetness and flavor to it. So and the Maduro itself is a Nicaraguan puro, and it's a high priming as well. It's 8 priming, Habano 2000 from Nicaragua, and as well, it's a high priming. I'm a medium full to full body smoker, and I enjoy that kind of cigars that maybe you have a pairing or drinking some nice distill high proof. So if you have a cigar that has not enough taste and enough strength, you're gonna wash away all the flavors. That's my main point. Is about flavor. I care more about flavor than strength itself. When I say body, the body is different from strength. The body of a cigar is a flavor wheel, and the strength is the amount of nicotine that a cigar has. And the only way to prove it is to run it to doing the retro, because you can sometimes smokers, they feel a lot of pepper in the mouth and they think that it's a strong cigar. when you run through the nose, you can tell it's not strong. So there's a lot of people that miss that concept or that way to evaluate the strength of the cigar. Yeah.
Okay. So and like when you were going to launch with a cigar brand, I mean, obviously you have multiple experience with tobacco, and then you have horses. Did that ever collide, or did you ever wonder, like, hey, am I going to go completely with horses, or what did that look like?
Yeah, I always have in my mind very clear that I want, the cigar brand has to be related with horses. Actually, all the name of the cigars are the name of the color of the horse, based on the color of the wrapper. For example, the Connecticut, the name is a Palomino. It's like a Palomino horse. It's like the golden horse, the yellow horse. The box is yellow. The Habano calls the Alazán Habano. Alazán in Spanish means sorrel. Sorrel is like a brown horse. And the Negro Maduro, Negro means black. That's a black stallion, It's a Maduro, dark Maduro, oscuro.
Yeah.
And the Zaino means like dark brown horse in Spanish. And that's a Connecticut broadleaf, So that's the relationship between the name of the cigars and the color of the wrappers.
Okay. Cool. We got Mike, who's a regular here, wondering, do you have a favorite breed of horse?
Yeah, quarter horses. Yeah, cow horses. I ride cutting horses, which is AQHA horses, quarter horses, but with the cow bloodlines, because a quarter horse can be, you have a bloodline from races, another bloodline for jumping, another bloodline for other disciplines. But the kind of horses that I ride are cow horses. They're breed to, they can read the cow, since you start them, as a 2-year-old, when they're young, you put them in front of a cow and they start shaking and moving, and reading the cow and jumping, because they have it in the genes. So that's the kind of horses that I like.
Okay. Matt is wondering Palomino.
What do you say? Sorry.
Oh, he's wondering about a Palomino for cattle.
Oh yeah. His question is if it's a Palomino for cattle. Palomino is just a color, but you can have a Palomino in different kind of horses. But we have in quarter horses, there's Palomino color, there's brown color, there's black color, there's
gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, like red, blue. We have different colors. When I said red, red one, it's not a red. It's like a brown with a lot of white hair, so it looks like looks like a kind of pink. And when I say blue, it's a black horse with a lot of white hair on top, so it looks like blue. So that's what we call a blue horse. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. So when you launched Stallone and you had all 6 blends, was this 2019? What year did you launch?
I launched in 2014.
14. Okay.
Yeah, 14. And I started in the American market on August 1st of 2020, last year.
Okay. What a year to launch.
Yeah. It was against all odds. And everybody was thinking that I was crazy, and I was thinking myself I was crazy to do that, But I think I did it in the right time, because last year most of the stores sold more cigars than ever. People stuck in the house, and the people that were healthy, they smoke more cigars than actually, because less work and a little bit more free time. So last year was excellent for cigar smoking.
Yeah. Well, And talking to a few other shop owners and a few other people in the industry, a lot of people are saying like right now, because of COVID and being home more, we're experiencing in the industry like a mini cigar boom. And so now instead of it's a supply and demand situation. Now there's more demand and the supply is having trouble keeping up with everything.
Yeah, because most of the big factory, they stopped, for 3 months or for more because of the COVID.
Right.
But we didn't stop. We only kept the rollers that were healthy. We have the good luck that our rollers were healthy, and they didn't have COVID, and we put them with the mask and with everything. All the procedures and cleaning, with alcohol, before touching every leaf, everything.
Right.
And
Yeah.
and we had in stock a lot of cigars ready in the aging room, since 2018. So the
Okay.
cigars that we're smoking now, they have over a year and a half or so, aged, in the aging room. So what we worked last year is going to be sold by, early next year.
Okay. We have a question from Mike saying, do you have a preferred drink? Is there a drink that you like to normally pair with when you're cigar smoking?
Yeah. I'm not a big drinker myself, but I'm a zipper. I like to sip, good distillate. My favorite drink to pair with cigars is Venezuelan rums, like Diplomatico, like Santa Teresa. I love Venezuelan rums. Also, I do enjoy a lot of bourbons and whiskeys and scotch. That's all my three favorite, distillate to pair with the cigars. But anyone can enjoy with their preferred distillate. There's no rules that you have to pair a cigar with some kind of distillate. It depends on the palate. The palate of everybody is different. So somebody might like it with wine or whatever.
Yeah, and even pairing, I mean, the San Andreas with a bourbon, and kind of how you were speaking earlier, like a lighter cigar or something that's a light on flavor sometimes can get washed out, or basically it can be too overbearing. But it complements very well. They have like an equal standing of strength and flavor. One's not dominant over the other.
Yeah, exactly. That's when you have a developed palate, you're able to choose the right distillate, to whatever you like, to the cigar that you like, because when you know the cigar and you know what you like, you can pair it with a good distillate. For example, the whiskey is great with the San Andres. A Scotch or a bourbon, I love it. That's my distillate for this cigar, my preferred one.
Yeah. Now, as we're kind of talking about like kind of the impact of COVID and the factory and such, your cigars are coming out of Nicaragua. Is there a particular factory that you guys went with? Did you have to hunt one down? Where exactly are they coming from?
Yes, my cigars are being done in Tabacalera La Perla. Tabacalera La Perla is owned by my brother, Guillermo Pena. He's a very, very close friend of mine, and he has worked hard, to put together the blends as exactly as I did it, exactly as I designed them, and as I wanted to be. Actually, we have different rollers for Stallone than for the rest of the factory. Our roller has to have at least 10 years of experience to be able to roll Stallone cigars, and they only allowed to do 150 cigars a day. Mostly the average roller, they have to do 300 cigars a day to get paid. But we pay them a little bit more, and we only ask them to make 150 cigars a day. So we have less rejected cigars, and we have better quality construction, because if you put a great blend together and the roller does not do a good job, you don't feel the blend. And and all Stallones are 100% handmade. We don't use any kind of machine involved in the process. So he has done a wonderful job. He was a very experienced roller, as a master roller in Cuba. For 20 years, he worked for a Chapman, for Partagas, for a lot of Cuban brands. So he has a lot of experience rolling, and now he's the owner of the factory. And as as being a master roller, he's able to control and detect every little problem or roller that's not doing the things good. And we have a couple of guys that are supervising on the rolling room that make sure that our cigars are doing right. Actually, those guys, one is Carlitos from Cuba, and he has 25-year experience rolling in Cuba as well for the big factories.
Yeah.
So that's why we have a good quality control, triple cap, and the which is more expensive to make, has more time, or you have to do it the right way, and and that's a part of having a good product quality.
Right. Well, and we have a question kind of to that. Matt is wondering, with all the shortages, whether it's time, or I know some factories are operating off of 50%. Is there a problem with like roller shortages? I know there's other companies that are having a hard time getting rollers. Has that been a struggle for you guys, or have you been able to kind of keep to your core?
Yeah, for us, for Stallone, it has not been a problem because, as I told you before, we got all rollers, working with us, like with a lot of experience, and we pay them very good, and we don't rush and make a bunch of cigar, so they're not going anywhere to search for a job, so they're happy with us. Actually, I like to treat my workers very well. I'm a laid back guy, I stay with them, and sit with them, and see them roll, and help, and touch them, and be friends. They feel important to the brand, and
Afraid we
so we didn't have any troubles so far with the rollers, but most of the factory they're having some issues with that. Very important question you make there.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, and kind of to the talent of the rollers. I mean, from what I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, when you're a high percentage of your blends are box press, and so it takes a particular time to roll, and then also a little bit of underfilling so that when it's pressed into that box shape, it's not going to crack, or it's going to draw correctly. And are you a fan of box press? Is that why a majority of yours are in that shape?
It's not because I'm a fan of box press by itself. The reason why I put 4 out of the 6 blended box press is because when you have a box press and you put in your lips, you have a little space on both sides of a cigar. So when you pull the smoke inside, you also pull in fresh air, so it cools down the temperature of the smoke, and you're able to taste more of the flavors.
Okay. I'm afraid we just lost Tony.
And when the smoke is hot, you need to release it, because it burns your mouth. So that's those 4 blends work perfectly in box press, and the other 2 blends, they work perfectly as a round cigars. That's the reason why.
Well, and I had mentioned earlier, like with the blends and how you're saying that kind of cools down. When we tried them in Nevada, I think at a lower elevation, and where we were, they almost were more strong to the palate. Like they were more, they were definitely stronger when smoking them. Here at an elevation about 4,800, it kind of cools down some of the temperature, some of the strength from it. So when you're blending, have you ever encountered a situation to where it was so strong that it overwhelmed your palate that you had to tame it down? And if so, how do you kind of compensate for that?
Yeah, as I told you before, I did spend 4 years doing that because of that. Because I was smoking the cigars, in very different places with very different conditions. The
Right,
the
right.
the pressure, the temperature, and the humidity are the key for your noses to perceive the flavors. Whatever
Yeah.
are you eating, drinking, or smoking. Uh, sometimes I have to blend the cigar down there in Nicaragua a little higher than I would like, but I know how the cigar is going to behave here in the
Okay.
U.S. You know what I
Wow.
mean?
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
developed that by practice, myself, like going back and forward. So that's a key that I took advantage of, spending that long time trying to do it because what are you saying is correctly. For example, in Colorado, it's very hard to taste a cigar. Colorado is very dry and cool, so you're barely get the flavors of the cigars.
Okay.
Uh, Actually, you can smoke a cigar there, and the same cigar you're smoking in Miami, you will feel completely different. It's more humid and hot, you feel the cigar more power. It's more cool
Okay.
and dry, you feel less power in the cigar.
Wow. And that yeah, that's really interesting because especially the difference in climate of Nicaragua compared to something like in California, it's very dry.
Yeah.
So when you ship your cigars, is your warehouse in Miami?
Yeah. Actually, I'm in the warehouse right now.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. And
So,
with the climate, the humidity and such in Florida, is it somewhat more similar to Nicaragua, or is it still really different?
yeah, it's similar to Nicaragua. It's a little different. It's a little more humid here, but we
Okay.
have control temperature and humidifier system
Yeah.
and air conditioning system because we want to keep the cigars at 70 degrees and 70% humidity. To keep them, in the right aging. When we deliver a cigar box, we're making sure that the cigar is in great condition.
Okay. Okay. And I mean, really trying the different blends. I think for people who kind of go through your portfolio, the Connecticut really stands out in the fact that, I mean, I've heard the term before, not your grandfather's Connecticut, and it definitely is not. And what was the evolution and process of blending a Connecticut for Stallone?
Yeah, actually, I'm not a Canadian smoker myself, but being honest, it's not my favorite
Yeah.
wrapper. But I was, it was one of the hardest blend for me because I want a Connecticut that I want to smoke and enjoy myself.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I blend that Connecticut, looking for that creamy cigar with that almond taste, toffee, but at the same time, that has a little kick on. It's not
Yeah.
a regular Connecticut. It's a Connecticut that
Hmm.
has some little kick. Even it's a solid medium cigar, but if you run it through the nose, you will feel, that it has some little power. So
Yeah.
when you have a Connecticut and you go low priming in the blending process, you will taste only like hay because it's, the wrapper itself is too thin,
Hmm.
so it doesn't have the amounts of oils, the grasa, the fat on the cigar.
Hmm.
So that's the way the Connecticut took me a little bit more work to develop than the other
Okay.
blends. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and it definitely stands out. I mean, I don't know if when smoking it, I don't know if I've ever encountered a Connecticut that has like a hint of pepper to it.
Yeah.
Like for the
Yeah.
most time, it is that kind of like classic, like creamy, very easy
Yeah.
on the
Yeah.
palate. And not to say
Yeah.
it's not easy, it's definitely the most, I would say, mild out of the Cowboy series.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but definitely falling into that medium category, and it's
Yeah.
very complex. It goes from pepper to cream to nuttiness to
Yeah.
all those flavor notes.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, that was my goal when I blend that cigar, to create the most complex Connecticut I could possibly do.
Okay.
Because I want to feel that little pepper, that little that I'm smoking a cigar.
Yeah.
As I told you, I enjoy the creaminess cigar, but at the same time, that's why the six blends are named the Cowboy Series, because it's like a cowboy. It's tough like as a cowboy. It should have some kick.
Yeah.
To
Yeah.
have the natural core of the brand. And
Yeah.
and that was my main goal. Yeah.
So and with the whole portfolio, there's also this element of someone smoking it, and then you tell someone the price point, and they're wait, what? Like it doesn't make
Yeah.
sense. The quality of what you're smoking doesn't really match up, and I don't know if you've gotten that before, but especially out in California, we appreciate it because
Yeah, thank you.
the
Thank you.
FDA hates
Thank you very
California.
much. Actually, you hit the best question. One of the best questions I always have. People ask me, and because my main goal is deliver more than the customer pays for. Because I'm looking for long shot. I'm not starting a blend to be a couple years on the market and then let go. I was
Mhm.
looking. My main goal is to stay in the market, deliver more than the customer pay for, because I started this brand as a customer, thinking as a customer. If
Yeah. Yeah.
I smoke all the brands, all cigars, from the very cheapest one to all the way to the most expensive ones. And I find out a great opportunity in the cigar business in the U.S., because I see a little bit the cigars are getting overpriced. I'm
Mhm.
not meaning the cigars are bad. There's plenty of good
Right.
cigars here in the U.S. But I mean, sometimes you pay $10 for a $6 cigar, and sometimes you
Yeah.
pay $15 for a $10 cigar. So my main goal was the opposite. You pay 7, 8, 9, 10 for a $12, $15 cigar. Actually, all the
Yeah.
cigars, as you know, come with a zero sleeve. The cigar bands are done in cigar rings. By the way,
Yeah.
the ribbon put
Well,
on the band.
and kind of what you're speaking to, that like smoking the cigar, it smokes way above its price point. I mean, the San Andreas is complex. It's not just, I think sometimes what I've run into in other brands is because I like fuller strength, sometimes that's
Yeah,
all you get. You get lack of
yeah,
flavor. You feel the
yeah,
punch of the nicotine and you're like, wow,
yeah,
this is strong.
yeah,
But the balance is really the difficult part of how do you
yeah.
balance that with flavor and strength?
That's one very interesting question, because that's what most people don't think about. The balance in a cigar is the key. And I never will put my name on a cigar that is not balanced. That's the first thing that I look at. The flavor and the balance of the cigars is the most important. And the key is to play with good tobacco, high priming tobacco, but very well aged. And the fermentation process has to be, excellent and right, to the point. And that's different from a blender to a master blender. A blender just put together leaf to make a cigar, but the master
Right.
blender is the one to know all the way from the fields, the fermentation process, to get that level of strength and balance and flavor of each leaf. So if you have each
Right.
leaf, each seed, in the right amount of oils, the fermentation process, and aging,
Mhm.
you put together, and you get the balance,
Right.
and and
Right.
and playing with the seeds and the soil is very important.
Okay.
There's some tobacco that doesn't go with other tobaccos that people think, so because one tobacco kills the other flavor or overpower it, so and and when sometimes people like a strong cigar and they don't care about the flavor, they just smoking unfermented tobacco. When you
Yeah.
smoke
Yeah.
unfermented tobacco, you feel a lot of power in your mouth, no flavor, but it's not good for your health because there's a lot of ammonia. So that ammonia is the one that kick you off, and you think you're smoking a very strong cigar, and you're smoking
Yeah.
ammonia. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Well, and we have another comment actually from Marcus. and I'll actually tag on to this question. He says, do you have a preferred Vitola? And with that, if you when you're blending cigars, do you have a Vitola that you like to blend to?
Yeah.
So it's kind of a twofold question.
Yeah, very, very interesting question, by the way. The Vitola that I use to blend a cigar is mostly Toros and Robusto, to try the blend.
Okay.
Mostly Toro. I do Toros to try the blend because, I develop each blend for certain size, certain ring gauge, So if I blend a cigar that I want to know, I want to be in a 54 ring gauge, I try to blend, in that ring gauge, and then I can have a variation to 52 and maybe 56. That's what you don't see Stallone Cigar jumping from a 48 to a 60, because it's impossible to keep the flavor ratio between the wrapper and the filler and the binder. And that's the reason why. And the other question is if I have favorite Vitola. Yes, I do. I love Lanceros. I love Perfectos. And I love Toros very much. That's my three favorite Vitolas.
Okay. Yeah. And so for those of you watching, we are offering the Stallone sampler pack, which is the Habano, Corojo, San Andreas, and 2 of the Nicaraguan Puro Maduro. Insanely good price. One of the best deals we've ever offered on the site. So if you get a chance, click on the link in this video. It'll take you directly to our website. That's where you can pick it up. I highly recommend you do that because it is fantastic and they're going to go quick. So really good sampler pack. A few questions for you as we kind of wrap it up, though, Tony. Questions I normally ask some of our manufacturers is, do you remember one of the, I mean, you kind of grew up in the generation of growing tobacco. Do you remember one of the first cigars that you had?
Of course. That's like not remember the first girlfriend, My first cigar was at the age of 15. My grandpa gave it to me. He rolled it for me and he gave it to me, as an old Italian guy. He went to Second World War when he was very young. So for him, having 15-year-old, you're a grown man already. Have your first cigar with me. So he rolled the cigar for me and he gave it to me and I smoked in front of him. And I feel like, I like it in the flavors, a little spice in the mouth. And but then 2 hours after that, I was sweating cold and I feel dizzy and I got a buzz. And I say, hey, my grandpa, I'm not feeling very good. I don't know what's happening. He say, now you're becoming a man. That's what I want to see you. So, and my father, my mother were very angry with my grandpa, because they saw me as a kid, but I started smoking at that age, and fell in passion, with the tobacco and the tobacco world because it was his passion and it's my passion as well.
Okay, yeah. And I know this is a difficult question to answer because it's kind of like asking who's your favorite child. Out of the Cowboy series, do you have a favorite blend out of the 6?
Well, that's a hard question. Why? Because I'm a guy that I don't stick to the same cigar all day long. I like to switch wrappers, depends on the mood. For example, every morning after an espresso, I must have a Palomino. It's a delicious cigar after a good espresso. I like to go over then with the Habano. That was Cigar of the Year by Sugi Press, by the way, with a 96 rating.
Yeah. Congrats.
It's like old Cubanist flavor. It's like Partagas. The old Partagas, like 20 years ago, that's a cigar that inspired me to do that. And I like very much the Castaño. I like the Sino when I have a steak, a full meal. I like to enjoy the Castaño, the Sino, the broadleaf, which is a full power, full body cigar. And the Corojo as well is one of my favorite blends. It's a Brazilian Corojo. Unique, the Ecuadorian binder, the Nicaraguan filler is very complex, sweet and salty, a lot of almonds, a lot of it's very complex. A little pepper, creaminess. It's a steak very different.
And
But
that Corojo is Nicaraguan Corojo? Is it grown in
no,
Nicaragua?
it's a Brazilian Corojo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Brazil
Okay.
Corojo 99 from Brazil. Nobody else has had it because part of my family, left Venezuela like 12 years ago, and they planted this Corojo seeds over there, and I get them from them, and there's a unique because Brazil is known for Matafina, for Cubra, and for Arapiraca, but
Okay.
the Corojo 99 from Brazil is excellent. It's very unique. It's a unique cigar.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Now, another thing in trying and blending, do you try other people's cigars? And if so, do you have any like favorite brands that you enjoy smoking as well?
Yes, I always try, all the new cigars that come to the market, to see the quality, the price relationship, if I don't do that, because as I told you, I did this as a customer, thinking as a customer. So I always keep trying new things, and if I have a favorite brand outside my brand, it's Padron. I love Padron 1926.
Yeah. No, definitely a great cigar. And then another question: on a daily basis, on average, how many cigars would you say that you normally smoke on a day-to-day basis?
8 to 10 average, and when I'm blending in Nicaragua, maybe 15 cigars.
Yeah, I'm somewhat of a lightweight. We'll have Tony joining here in a second. There we go.
As long as I'm awake, all day long when I'm working, and now, I'm smoking cigars.
Yeah. Well, when I was in Vegas for the trade show, I had 8 cigars. That for me was a lot. I normally am around like the 2 to 3 range. But it was funny because when we met you on the first day, we got some of the samples, and we had like 4 of your cigars going at the same time. My wife and I were smoking through them, really enjoying them. And then to close the day, I was like, oh man, I got to go back to another one. And I found myself continually going back to Stallone. And again, it's definitely in my wheelhouse. It's my flavor palette, strength level. But yeah, just phenomenal. But I smoked so many to where I started getting a pain in my nostrils from retrohaling so much.
Yeah. I appreciate you guys coming by and stopping by the booth, and it was an honor for me, to have you guys there. And it's a very honor that you say that Stallone Cigars are, in your radar, in your flavor palette, in your in your kind of cigar, because that's as the end of the road. I enjoy more a customer say that like my cigar than the money itself, because if I do this for the money, I would have been doing it. I'm not making any profit out of this cigar, putting this kind of quality tobacco in.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I would like to thank you again, Tony, for joining us. And for those of you watching, we do have the sampler pack on our website. Click on the link in this video that will direct you to our website to where you can pick it up. It is a phenomenal price, and the quality you get it's extremely hard to beat. It's for what you're getting and the price that you're paying. And again, Tony, it was an honor talking with you, and we look forward to bringing in your cigars even further. One last question is, you have a new release coming out in August, correct?
Yes, actually, we have a new release in the TPE. That was a Pony. It's a 4.5 by 58 ring gauge Sumatra Ecuadorian wrapper, medium body, really, really good cigar, and it's a really good price point. Retail is the cheapest cigar we have so far, but it's really good quality cigar. And we have coming for August the Clydesdale, which is a 6.5 by 60 with 7 ligeros inside, and Nicaraguan broadleaf wrapper, and it's a Nicaraguan puro. But it's not gonna punch you in the face, because again, it's well fermented, well aged tobacco. It's a lot of chocolate, dark flavor like coffee bean. It's a very good cigar.
Okay. And that's the only one that you did that's an unfinished foot, correct?
Yeah, shaggy foot.
Yeah, awesome. So yeah, we look forward to bringing that in as well. So thank you so much for taking the time to be with us, and we'll keep you posted. And thank you for the cigars; they're awesome.
Yeah, thank you very much for the show, Eric. I appreciate you having me on the show and carrying our brand. Looking forward to support you guys, and I wish you guys all the luck.
Okay, thank you so much, and we'll be in touch. Thanks again.
Thank you.